Hello, this is the Hawk's Eye View interview team, this time featuring Lewis, and this is Ethan Co as usual. So here we're interviewing Fred Fernainy. He is Hopkins special ed teacher. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, yeah, that's me, Fred Fernainy. I teach a special education class at Hopkins, and I've been there in that role for, gosh, 25 plus years. I can never remember the exact number, but one of the small handful of teachers that have been there 20 plus,
Oh,
um, and enjoyed. Yeah, I love working at Hopkins. It's somehow gone from good to better over all
oh,
Wow.
those years.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. But we found out on email that he was also a veteran and we came here to interview him. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
because Veterans Day was just last Thursday. Actually, this Thursday.
Yeah.
So,
To what is it, Saturday? So yeah, day before yesterday.
yep.
yeah.
So I'd like to kick this off with our first question to you.
Yeah.
And so that's like the question is like, where did you serve? And like, did you even serve in a war? And if you did, like, what was your position in it?
Right. So um, I I served during a war, but not in a war. To clarify, I went into the Air Force out of high school,
Oh,
the summer after high school, which was in 1972.
oh,
And the
wow.
Vietnam War was dragging on. Um, and I, I enlisted not with the intention of going to war, but with probably the incentive to, well, probably a lot of different reasons. One, I thought there'd be some adventure in it. Uh, and I knew that I'd also be getting the GI Bill, which helped pay for college and other things throughout my life, like uh, home ownership. So that was my inspiration. But yeah, I went in the fall of '72. Air Force basic training takes place in Texas, San Antonio or near San Antonio. Um, and so everybody does their basic training. If you're an enlisted man, like I was, or enlisted woman, because at that time, of course, the service, Air Force, I'm not sure if all of them were mixed, but our Air Force was. Um,
Okay.
Basic training there, and then you go off to a training school. For me, it was the Defense Mapping Institute
Oh,
in
wow.
Virginia.
Whoa, that's
That's
Uh,
really
cool.
interesting.
yeah, it turned out to be. It was a multi-service school, so if anything in the service could be fun, that kind of was, because I got to mix with Marines and Army. I don't remember any Navy, but there might have been some Navy there too. It was, yeah, we learned defense mapping. I'm not sure what all different classes and programs they had. Mine was learning how you survey and calculate points and things, related to geodetic survey.
Okay.
But it was really background for what they wanted me to learn, which was radar bombing.
Oh
Oh,
man. Okay.
that's interesting.
Yeah, there's plenty of layers here.
yeah, yeah. It was you know, I mean, I didn't know what was which direction we'd be going, but yeah, the background, a lot of math there at the Defense Mapping School, math and maps both. and survey, learning, how points are established with, three, 3 points, I guess, to determine, or 2 point, I don't know. I can't even remember, but
Okay.
math and survey. Yeah, that was the training. And then I was off to a SAC base, that's Strategic Air Command in Louisiana, Barksdale Air Force Base. And back then it was, I'm not sure if the Strategic Air Command bases still do the same, but we had a B-52 running, engines running 24 hours a day. Just one, but I assume all the Strategic Air Command bases did, and like kind of a constant state of readiness.
Okay. So that was a lot of stuff.
That was a
So
lot, yeah.
just to summarize, you served in the army during the war, but didn't fight in that actual war. Went
Air Force,
to
yeah,
a few.
not the Army, Air Force.
Oh, sorry,
Air
Air
Force,
Force. Went through a few different layers of school and learned everything you needed to. Okay.
Right, correct. Mostly, no. Once I got to my base in which was in Louisiana near Shreveport, kind of I guess that's the northwestern corner of Louisiana. That's where we learned to apply that type, the training, the math, the survey calculating. We had an early version of a computer. There were not really computers out in the world, and definitely not in everybody's hands, but there were computers. But a small computer was new to us, and I can tell you it was an Olivetti, and a small computer that we used kind of punch cards. Some of the early mainframes too, which I encountered in college, used punch cards.
Wow.
For putting in data.
Yeah, I think there's a big misconception about like the military in general. And like people believe that joining the military is like just fighting a war. And I think you've proven to us that there's a lot in the background, like people who aren't actually going but are supporting them. So that's really interesting.
Yeah,
Right.
that's very true. A lot of people do go in the military, knowing that it might be a career choice. And I, made friends that did stay in as a career choice. My goals were different, so I didn't stay in for the long haul. But needless to say, there's tons of jobs, thousands of jobs, because the military is each branch of the military is an enormous corporation. So you need support crew in every aspect. Mine was the thing they trained me on was specifically to work with a bomber and calculate where the bomb would be dropped. But just just the way a business needs, HR, human resources, and accounting, and there are all those jobs, mechanics, obviously, lots of mechanics, both for
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah,
the
that thing makes
aircraft.
sense.
Yeah. So it's and you have some choice, but not a lot. The recruiter basically lied and said, "Oh, you'll get to pick. You'll get one of your 5 choices or something." And yeah, that was not the case. But
Yeah.
but it worked out okay.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for that. So our next question is, was there any like fond memories being in the Air Force?
Yeah, you
Like any
mentioned
specific
friends
events?
and any just memories in general.
Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Fun times in it.
Yeah, your podcast might have to go on for a long time if I dig up all the memories. But as I started to talk about that defense mapping school in Virginia, it was located right outside a short bus ride to Washington D.C. And as I mentioned, all services. And so I made friends with, a couple Marines. I remember really fun guys. And ended up making a best friend that was also Air Force that ended up stationed in the same base. But we went on, it was like a job in that, and school, in that we had to, except maybe a little harder because we had to get up at ungodly hours and stand at attention and all that, and do different things like march across the base. But the bulk of it was school. We were taking classes, and our weekends were free. And we all, some of the guys had cars. I didn't at that time, but we piled in, I think, a couple cars worth. A bunch of us went to the ocean front, the beachfront in Virginia.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was a lot of fun for a West Coast guy. I grew up on the beaches in Southern California. Redondo Beach was my home. And so seeing these East Coasts with their boardwalks and everything, and the beautiful countryside, and we just had a fun time.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was one. We'd go sometimes Friday nights. We'd go to the roller rink, which was kind of, I don't know if it's people still do it, but like ice skating, I guess. But you'd rent the roller skates and you'd skate around. But they had a live organist, and lots of people that went there regularly that were very talented doing dance moves, like they'd be arm in arm in groups, and going around the rink, at the same time as they're doing spins and circles, and then grabbing hands again. And
a lot of unique experiences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trust me. Yeah, I'm afraid I'd go on too long if I dig up too many of these things. But
okay, I think
there were a lot of good experiences like that, but especially at the early stage there with the that unique situation with all these different guys from Army.
I think we have a general idea. There's a ton.
Yeah, that must be really interesting, huh?
Yeah.
It was good. It was good, and like
I can imagine.
At the time, I was young, 18, and also beginning to come into my own thinking, and realizing I really didn't want to participate in any mass destruction. So I had to kind of wrestle with that.
Reasonable. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a few bumps in that way because I always was the kind of person that shared my ideas and opinions, and in the military, of course, that's not really encouraged.
Oh yeah, it's not accepted, right?
Yeah. So yeah, but surprisingly, I should add in too that even with that, I never received, for those opinions and such, any real, any harmful consequences in terms of, docking my promotion or my pay grade or anything like that. But I did get talked to a couple times by my NCO, non-commissioned officer, mainly that I shouldn't share those ideas with the commanding officer of our unit. So
okay.
I was 18. It's not, now I have a lot of years of thinking about things. Back then, you probably not much more mature than you guys, especially back then. I don't know. Everybody grew up as quickly as we do now.
Yeah.
Okay. And one quick thing, you've been talking mostly about getting into and experiences in the military. We just want to add one final thing. Was there anything on the road of leaving it and becoming a teacher? When did that pop into your mind? That kind of stuff?
Yeah, like the transition.
No, I honestly, I didn't. The my move into teaching happened more through experiences in college. I think I had the knack or I guess the affinity, because I do remember one thing in the service that I like to do at our base. Louisiana is very hot and muggy in the summer, and we had a swimming pool. And I always loved the water anyway, but there were younger kids, and I was pretty good at diving. And so I remember coaching some of the kids to learn, some of the dives.
Oh, so that's how you got into
That
like.
was one of the experiences. Actually, once I got
Oh,
to college, I had more very specific experiences that tied me into teaching. Well, I went to college in Santa Cruz, and I ended up being a teacher's assistant, the paid position of the surf instructor. We actually had a surfing class in Santa Cruz. So after the service, yeah, that was my first actual paid teaching gig.
oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I still love surfing, but that was a good experience in getting people that weren't real familiar with the water and the waves and how everything works, and trying to coach them along.
Oh,
Mhm, mhm.
and our
So,
last, oh,
so the entire timeline here is joined the military in high school, served in the military up until college, realized the knack for teaching, and then after a little while after that, the college and the whole that those kinds of ordeals ended, decided to just transition to becoming a teacher.
I came to teaching after getting my liberal arts degree, and uh, the economy was not booming, and the kinds of things I was looking at weren't giving any opportunities, and I just started subbing. Uh,
oh,
and from there, found a niche, and and stayed with it.
oh,
Cool.
wow.
Lewis, you were saying something?
Oh, yeah. So our last question for you is actually, is there any misconceptions about like the military in general?
Anything? Yeah. Any final things you want to clear up and things we might be able to learn from it?
Yeah.
Ah, gosh, yeah, lessons learned. Um, there's probably tons of misconceptions because as I mentioned a few minutes ago about it's really a big business. I mean, it's a very large corporation. So um, the idea that if you go in the military, you're going to be fighting is the furthest thing from the actual case. And I mean, you've got to separate the services. If you go in the Army without a specific skill, well, you might be an Army. You might be in the in the fighting division. I don't know. I didn't go in the Army, but the Air Force, by going in the Air Force, you're pretty much guaranteed a non-fighting position because the Air Force doesn't have a ground division. It's all support. I mean, literally, the Air Force evolved out of the Army in World War II. As planes were becoming a thing, they split the Army into what was called the Army Air Corps, and that was the start of the Air Force.
Wow.
Okay.
But by the time, 30 some years late, well, almost 30 years later, when I joined, the Air Force was well established, and you weren't going to be carrying a rifle and spending time in a foxhole or whatever.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any lessons you learned from your experience in the military, so we can end this on some of a kind of an uplifting note?
Yeah.
um, Probably the friendships is the most uplifting part. I made friends that well, I'd like to say I'm still in touch with them. I'm not, but I stayed in touch with them for quite a while. And one of them, in fact, after we both got out, we took a long surfing and backpacking trip to the island of Kauai.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I've also been there. It was really nice there.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
We
more
spent,
nature than like modern, you know.
what's that?
There was like a lot of nature there. Like,
Yeah, it's not as built up as like Oahu.
yeah, yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah. It was really
Yeah.
nice.
And
But that
okay.
and you know the benefits that come with serving, you know, serving your time. But you know, I mean, I don't know. I'm a teacher, and you know, just to put my own sort of slant and pitch on things. Um, and my wife's giving me the like, you know, cut signal. But you know, I really believe that service is important, and I've, you know, and she's heard me say, you know, over the many years that we really need a service corps. I don't think everybody should go into a military service, but I really
For the
feel
war
that,
effort, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel there should be like President Clinton tried to get going, AmeriCorps, but there should be a like a service duty, you know, like 2 years, and you don't, you know, it's not necessarily the military. You go and you know, you put 2 years in to work where the country needs you. I think, you know, I'd like to hear some of our politicians, you know, talk along those lines, but
Yeah,
I don't know if that'll happen or not, but yeah, I think service is a good thing.
yeah.
JFK, ask what you can do for your country. All right,
Yeah,
Lewis, I think we can wrap this up.
Yeah.
that
Okay.
JFK. Well, yeah. Let me get that. It's ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Oh,
Yep.
that's an interesting quote.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Don't look
That's
for a
oh
handout.
wow.
You know, ask what you can do to help out.
Okay, so we're gonna end things off here. I have to
Yeah.
just say, thank you for your service when you served. Um, and
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, and thanks for the opportunity to you know, share that experience. It's you know, it's not every day that I find myself talking about it, so it's been fun for me. Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah.
you had a really unique story, and I think now that more people will know it, it'll be better.
Yeah. They'll
Cool.
understand veterans more. And so thank you for
So,
giving us all your time today.
okay,
I really appreciate it. Oh,
before you let me just one last thing. My room is right off the main quad there, and please, you know, it's 119D. You know, my window looks right out where the main lunch part is. So
Oh,
pop in, say hi, you know,
yeah.
and whatever. Yeah.
All right.
okay,
Well,
okay.
thank you for your time.
Thank
We're
you.
Yeah.
glad to have you here.
Yeah.
And see ya on campus. Goodbye.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Okay.
We're happy to
Thanks a
have
lot,
you.
guys.